You are listening to Fantha Tracks.
Because of the following special program, Wonder Woman and the Incredible Hulk will not be presented this evening.
It's time to get all your Star Wars news in a single file. This is Making Tracks. Here are your hosts, Mark Newbold and Mark Mulcaster.
It's not true. That's impossible.
You're listening to Making Tracks and a very special Roundtable episode as we join fellow sites and podcasts in chatting with Meredith Salenger and Diana Lee Inosanto, who play Bariss Offee and Morgan Elsbeth in Tales of the Empire, which arrives in its entirety on Disney Plus on May the 4th. There are 6 episodes, and we had the chance to put questions to Meredith and to Diana, so here's our Tales of the Empire fan roundtable on Making Tracks.
So we are going to start the day off with George Bate from Star Wars Holocron. And we have George and Josh.
Hi, Meredith.
Hi, George and Josh. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for being able to speak with us. We really appreciate it. We wanted to ask, it's been over a decade since you played this character in the Clone Wars. What was the most difficult part of returning to the character, and what did you find to be most rewarding about revisiting her?
Well, the most rewarding thing about revisiting Bariss Offee was just being back in the booth with Dave Filoni. He's so creative. He's so interesting. He always has such incredible character arcs. There really wasn't much difficult to come back to because I feel like Bariss has been in the minds of me, of course, because I love her, but the fans since the Clone Wars ended. Everyone is always asking about her. My friends' kids are watching the show right now, so it doesn't feel like there's any separation. It doesn't feel like it's been a long time. And we can see that Ahsoka, her character has gone on to have a whole other show. I think these characters have made such an impact that they're still here, and Bariss is still very deep in me, and I love her, and it was just a joy to be back.
All right, coming up next for our next question, this is James Burns from Jedi News.
Hi, James.
Hi, Meredith. Thanks very much for taking the time to talk to us.
Oh, look, you have an English accent, just like Bariss.
Funny that.
Funny that.
How was it? How did you hear from Dave, or how did you hear that you were coming back?
I've kept in touch with Dave. We've become friends, and every now and then, we see each other a lot, and we talk about Bariss, we talk about the show, but nothing has ever been official. He keeps everything under wraps. So when I got an email that said they want to have you back for Bariss, I was just like, yes. It was just the greatest because I love her, and I love playing her, and it was fantastic. It was just the best moment.
Brilliant. We're delighted to have you back.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Alex Damon from Star Wars Explained.
Hi, Meredith. Thank you. Like you said, Star Wars fans have been obsessed with Bariss Offee for over a decade. What happened to her? And you say that she hasn't ever really left your mind. So over a decade in between the Clone Wars and now, did you ever develop your own headcanon for what Bariss was up to or what happened to her until Dave finally filled you in?
Well, listen, I've been listening to fans say, how could you turn on Ahsoka? How could you do this? And I think I've always felt like Bariss just had this incredible moral compass and did what she felt was right for the Jedi Order. I feel like so for me, I have my own opinions on why she did what she did back in the Clone Wars. And I love where Dave Filoni has taken her character. The arc during Tales of the Empire is astonishing. I don't think we know what she's been thinking while she's been in jail this whole time. And I think the things that she's presented with are about to show her depth of character that she's developed while in prison.
This is Susanna Malik from Mandalorian and Boba Fett, and this is Fantha Tracks. Is it Fantha Tracks? I'm blind, I couldn't read it. Fantha. I'm
still going to use that.
Are you? Then use it. Even like this dumb broad can't speak English.
Next up from Sky Talkers podcast, we have both Charlotte and Caitlin, and I believe one of them has a question for you.
Yes. Hi, I'm Charlotte. Hi, Meredith. Thanks so much for talking with us
Thank
today. I was wondering, what do you think makes Bariss such a compelling character that fans are so obsessed with?
I think what makes Bariss so compelling is that she really starts with such a desire to do what's right. I think she really believes deeply in the old Jedi text. I think she really appreciated her training under Luminara Unduli, who taught her how to be the best Jedi. And I think after her time hanging out with Ahsoka and Anakin, who are more free thinkers, not everything was done by the book. I think she's compelling because she starts to listen to her own moral compass as she's going through things, and she starts to have different opinions. I think she might have been influenced by Palpatine's propaganda that he put on the Jedi, about the Jedi rather. And I think her faith in the Jedi starts to waver a little bit. She's compelling because she has a moral dilemma and she thinks she's doing the right thing. And perhaps the way she went about it wasn't the right way, but she was very strong in her convictions. And I think in Tales of the Empire, you see her struggle with what to do with the options that are presented to her. And I think a lot of people go through that. I think your choices define your destiny. And I think what we learn in Tales from the Empire is that you always have a choice. You always have a choice to whatever path you're going to go down. And it's a good message.
On deck here, we have Fantha Tracks. This is Mark.
Hiya. By the end of this run of episodes, it feels like Bariss has learnt as much by being an Inquisitor as he has learnt by being a Jedi. How do you feel about that?
I think every situation you're in is a teaching moment. I think the people that you surround yourself with, you can either learn and appreciate the goodness you learn from them, or you can fall into hate that people that you're surrounded by, or you can see things that you disagree with. And every situation will form your sense of self deeper and deeper if you choose to go by your center. If you are really dedicated to your own moral structure, every scenario that you are in will shape who you are.
Next, we have Richard and Sarah from skywalkingthrough-neverland.com.
Hey, Meredith. This is Sarah and Richard from Skywalking Through Neverland.
It's great having you back in Star Wars.
Oh, thank you. It's just the best to be back playing Bariss.
Now, I don't believe we've seen the last of Bariss. Now, if it were up to you, where would you want to see Bariss go from here?
Well, I can't spoil what happens at the end, but if there was a fantasy world where I could create more Bariss, she's got a lot she has to deal with how her relationship with Ahsoka ended. And I think Bariss, Offee, and Ahsoka Tano need to have some time together to rehash and explain and reconnect. And it would be like the two of them going off on adventures together, because I think they really do have a strong bond. And I think they believe in the same things ultimately.
Great. Thank you.
Next, we have Keith Yarday from Father Son Galaxy Star Wars.
Hi, I'm Keith from Father Son Galaxy. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet
So
you.
now that we've seen Bariss Offee's journey from the Clone Wars to the ending in Tales of the Empire, what do you know about Bariss that you didn't know before the show?
I think watching her grow from being a Padawan learner to where she is now, there's a huge age change for her. And I think when you start as a young child, you look at the world in a certain way. And I think as you go through life and you make mistakes, as everyone does, you learn from them. And I think as an older person, you have a chance to review your life and be the person you really want to be. And I've learned from her that there's always a path, there's always a choice, there's always a way to better yourself, there's always another chance. And I think everyone needs to know that at any time in their life, they can always make things better.
Hi, this is Ethan Sachs, and you're listening to Fantha Tracks.
Fangirls Going Rogue, this is Trisha Barr.
Thank you so much for taking the time. In Tales of the Jedi and Tales of the Empire, we see this recurring theme of mothers, which is the underrepresented archetype in Star Wars. And surprisingly, Bariss journeys and ends in the third episode being called a wise mother. What does it mean to you to represent that archetype in Star Wars?
That is the most interesting question. You know, I think when you think of the word mother, you think of someone caring and who takes care of and wants to usher forth goodness in other people, to bring out the best in other people, to provide lessons that teach other people how not to fall into the same mistakes you might have made. I think that's what every mother in real life does and is. And when you think of religion, and there's like Mother Superior, and the word mother isn't just actual familial, but more spiritual. And I think mother implies that people look to you for guidance. And I think when you've had such a complex life and been through so much that Bariss has, I think for her, people looking to her might just be the greatest reward she could ever have.
From Iron Cannon, this is William Devereaux.
Hi, Meredith. Thanks for taking the time to chat with us. Tales of the Empire features a number of cameos from different Inquisitors, including the Grand Inquisitor, the Fourth Sister Mark, the unnamed Inquisitor from Tales of the Jedi. Do you have a favorite Inquisitor?
Oh, wow. Do I have a favorite Inquisitor? I never really thought about the Inquisitors that much. I'm always like, it's either like the bad guy, like the Inquisitors to me feel like a group. Now, obviously, from Tales of the Empire, I've learned that they're specific individuals. I didn't really know about the Inquisitors that much. This is very telling. I think Jason Isaacs as the main Inquisitor is phenomenal. He's such a brilliant actor. And I think Bariss Offee gets to train under him. And I think she's had very interesting masters. She had Luminara and Dooley, who was incredibly by the book. And I think the Grand Inquisitor also, there's a way of behavior that he's teaching as well. And I think she's being taught by the best of the best for what they are. In the Inquisitors, here's the person who's really he's not going to pull any punches with you. He wants you to step up. And I think requiring Bariss to step up and push herself to a place she might not want to go, or she's afraid to go, but she does. It's fascinating to me.
Next, Dan's there with Coffee with Kenobi.
Hello, thank you also for your time. Real quick question. We're certainly not going to spoil anything because that would be a no-no, because we want everybody to enjoy this series. But for you, there's this interesting dichotomy that happens with Bariss as a character. How do you think she would define the concept of loyalty?
I think through her trajectory, there is a loyalty to herself. I think there's a loyalty to her inner beliefs. I think there's a loyalty to her morality. I think she has an intense desire to do what is right. And while she displays her loyalty to the Jedi as she's learning, while she displays her loyalty to the choices and the people that she needs to in Tales of the Empire, I think ultimately her loyalty is to her strength, to her beliefs.
Okay, let's go back to George and Josh.
We had a question about the development of the character's arc over time. Obviously, her character arc unfolds in Tales of the Empire. Was there ever another opportunity for the character to pop up before this, whether it be in a video game that didn't come to fruition or a show or anything like that?
I don't know. All I know is that Legos did an amazing job making little Lego figures of her. And so I've been playing with the Legos with my nieces and nephews. And so for me, there's been a lot of Bariss happening in between, but for the show, finding her again in jail since the Clone Wars, nothing's really happened for her other than like sitting there stewing in her thoughts and making a conscious decision in her mind of who she feels that she is and what changes she wants to make. So any storyline in between the two would have been her own internal monologue.
James Burns.
going back to Star Wars Celebration in Anaheim in 2015, Dave Filoni said on stage that the original plans for your character was to die in The Wrong Jedi. But Dave decided that he had plans for your character and cut the scene. So I just wondered whether you'd ever talked to Dave about that and whether that had ever come up before. And did you ever talk to Dave about the possibilities and where your character could potentially go?
I do believe I remember when that happened, and I was very excited. And I've spoken with Dave because we're dear friends, but he holds his cards very close to the chest, and I think his imagination is always working. I think he has he has an entire universe of people that he is weaving a fabric of every character together, because one character's actions 100% affect another character's actions. And so I think he has this grand vision. And as he's shifting his imagination for all of it, the characters might shift, and what he thought he might want to do back then shifts as he develops another character. So I know he had something in mind, but no, he never shared with me what that would be. And of course, I'm always like, please tell me what's going to happen to Bariss. I mean, I love Bariss, and so the more I can play her and inhabit her character is a joy for me.
For our last question, Alex Damon, please.
If Bariss, at the end of her journey in her shorts in Tales of the Empire, could go back and give Bariss the Padawan some advice while she was struggling during the Clone Wars, what do you think she would say?
I think I think there would have been some whisperings about how to go about handling situations in a more diplomatic way as opposed to a violent way, which is interesting because I think that's all Bariss ever wanted. When she was upset with the Jedi Order, it was because they were moving to a more military style way of handling conflict and dismantling their peacekeeping notions. And I think for her, she wanted to make that happen, but she fell into the thing she didn't want to be. So I think whisperings of, an adult to a child, like, make better choices. Make better choices.
For everything in one location, daily news, reviews, interviews, podcasts, video, and social media feeds, bookmark FanthaTracks.com for Star Wars news 24/7, 365.
All right. Our first question is going to George.
Hi, Diana. Really nice to meet you and speak with you.
Hi, guys. Welcome to my home, everyone.
We love it. We love Grogu. So much of Morgan Elsbeth in live action comes through her body language. You do such a great job playing that stoic body on frame. What was it like to play the character in animation and not have that acting tool to lean on?
It was really nice that I don't have sore muscles doing animation for sure. But no, I was absolutely over the moon. I always say I have once in a while these amazing joy attacks, and that's what happened for me doing Tales of the Empire. I cannot get over the amazing approach and quality of the fight scenes, and it's because even with the trailer, I have been having people at Comic Cons ask me if I did mocap, and my hat goes off to the Lucasfilm animation team that really concentrated on the fight scenes, and they did an incredible job. And I know it was under the leadership of, I believe, Stuart Lee, and he does a whole homage to my godfather, the late Bruce Lee, and my dad. They looked at martial arts they did on YouTube. They studied my fights on Mandalorian and Ahsoka, and it's just brilliant how they put it all together. It really is. I'm stunned. I'm amazed as a martial artist.
All right, thank you. Next is James Burns.
Hi, Diana. Thank you very much for taking the time to talk to us. So how do you go about taking your live action character and bringing it to life in animation? Is there anything different you had to do with your voice or your mannerisms?
It's still the same approach. I'm sure everybody's seen the beautiful footage of Pedro going into his character, right? When he's voicing Mando. Same thing. I make the commitment in the room and in the space in the recording room. And I do the same breathing. I will jump in place. I will literally grab a pin and make it all of a sudden my sword. Just anything that will give me that space and that place of being in the moment as Morgan Elsbeth. So kudos to my theater teachers for teaching me that technique, because it really did help me in the recording room with Dave. And then of course Dave's there to give me notes and to explore different choices and ways and approach to saying the line. And I love the finished product here. I think people are going to enjoy Tales of the Empire.
Alex, you are next.
Hi, this is Alex from Star Wars Explained. Tales of the Empire, gives us significant details of Morgan Elsbeth's backstory. I'm curious if you were told any of those details so that you could use it in your live action performance in Ahsoka.
It was spoon-fed to me, Alex. It was spoon-fed to me, but good thing is Dave was so specific and so strategic. I did my own homework as well. You know, I watched the Clone Wars and Rebels, but I also read Timothy Zahn's books. I felt that most likely that Morgan would have a certain common ground with the people that Thrawn chose to be in his inner circle as well. And then later on, E. Anne Convery, her short story called Bug was also very important to me. But I still, even up to that point, didn't know if Morgan was truly on Dathomir seeing Grievous mow through her people. So when I finally got the script for Tales of the Empire, I was absolutely thrilled. I was so energized by just the opening sequence. And I think too, it gives people a different taste of Morgan's background, her world, and what drives her. And more important, the love she has for her people.
Thank you. Next are Charlotte and Caitlin.
Hi, I'm Caitlin from Sky Talkers. So great to talk to you today, Diana.
Great to talk with you too.
Thank you. My question is, were there any key words or themes that Dave or the rest of the creative team gave you when thinking about Morgan Elsbeth in this time period?
In when you say time period, are we talking like Morgan as a child, Morgan as, or teenage girl, I should say, or Morgan as with Thrawn?
With her time with Thrawn and in that time period.
You know, I think what I keyed on more is the importance of being, not that they gave me anything other than I knew from the writing itself, that it was important somehow that Morgan was recognized for her brilliance and her intelligence. I mean, this is a woman that helped engineer the Navy, you know, and all that we see of the Empire. And I think it's just brilliant that Thrawn knew that this is the woman to share an alliance with. And I think that's what was really coming off the pages. The writing makes it so easy for me. And if there was anything, Dave was there to explain the choices that we could explore in real time.
All right, thank you. Next question goes to Mark.
Hello there, Mark from Fantha Tracks here. Morgan has a tragic past. What did you learn about her character that you just didn't realize before from what you see in Tales of the Empire?
What I learned very quickly, if you see that first opening sequence, is as much as there's chaos going on around her, it is truly that this woman not only has the capacity to feel vulnerable, but she also has the capacity to love. And the relationship with her mother, that to me just screamed at me. And to see how she would lose her mother, but yet her mother was a role model to her of sacrifice and being able to defend and protect her daughter and to be this incredible woman warrior. So that was the kind of role modeling she had from her mother. And I think that kind of role modeling, I realized, helped her survive the rest of her journey through the galaxy. And that's what I learned for myself.
I'm Brian Herring, BB-8 puppeteer, and you're listening to Fantha Tracks. That'll learn you.
Thank you. All right, Keith and Kerwin are next.
Hi, Miss Diana.
Hi, love the shirt.
Thank you. It's our merch.
I love it.
Morgan Elsbeth and Thrawn share a very nuanced relationship. How do their interactions shape each other's development, drawing out both strengths and weaknesses?
Ooh, very philosophical question here. You know, for what I love is that Thrawn saw something in Morgan. He saw that she was not just smart, but she was tenacious and also in many ways, they were outsiders, right? And so they were probably realized that in some ways, when you're an outsider trying to navigate the empire, that could be possibly maybe a weak position, but not for those two. You know, they knew that they both were brilliant, had great minds, and I love that Thrawn wanted to recruit Morgan and bring her into his circle because there was a whole new agenda for Thrawn, right? But also for Morgan wanting inevitably, as we would see in Ahsoka, to restore Dathomir. So yeah, that's what I got from the relationship.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next question goes to Trisha.
Hi, this is Trisha Barr from Fangirls Going Rogue podcast. You've been making the convention tour. What have you learned from fans about why Morgan resonates with them?
Oh, great question. First of all, what I'm learning is, particularly from women, there's two things, is that they love seeing a strong woman, a woman warrior, a woman that can survive and weather hard times and be able to navigate and survive, even if the world may say things like you're not wanted, you're not needed, not validate you. That's what I think what women I have interfaced with have said. But the interesting thing for me is also the response of men. And I've had so many men say, oh my gosh, I have my daughter now in martial arts, or oh my gosh, I want my daughter to be strong and to be able to grow up and be able to navigate her life. And it's been great. She's been a role model to both men and women in a different, unique way, even though she's kind of a villain. I think people can take from Morgan some of the positive aspects of her character and just go, wow, we love her strength.
Thank you. Dan, you've got next.
Thank you.
I thank you. Hello. Thanks so much for being here with all of us. I'm Dan Ter from Coffee with Kenobi.
Hi, yes, hello.
Yeah,
Nice
it's great. Yeah, you as well. You as well. Morgan is so fascinating because she's got this wonderful paradox, right? She's incredibly disciplined and focused, but she's also so angry and volatile, and with good reason. We certainly learn a lot more about that through Tales of the Empire. But how do you kind of process and navigate that as an actor and a performer?
It's interesting because I would have these talks with Dave because, even though technically she's classified as the villain in Mandalorian and Ahsoka, what I'm really relieved is that when you watch Tales of the Empire, and for me, this is what I see, is nobody ever sees themselves as a villain, right? They just have certain needs and certain goals, and they're hoping to accomplish that. And I love that we see the vulnerability in Morgan. I love that we see that she also, in her way, a long time ago, had the ability to love and be loved by her mother and by her fellow Night Sisters. And, it's just unfortunate that by seeing such chaos and annihilation of her people, that she developed this armor of anger. And so, in a way, for me, psychologically, she's a fascinating character because there are aspects I think we all can relate to if we've gone through something very horrible in our lives, that that there are times where you do what you have to be a survivor. I just think it's fascinating the choices that she has made compared to like an Ahsoka, and how that manifested down the road for her. So yeah, that's what I find interesting in this whole journey of playing Morgan Elsbeth.
Thank you. Richard and Sarah, you've got next.
Hey there. We are Richard and Sarah from Skywalking Through Neverland.
Oh, I love that.
Now, I love in Tales of the Empire that the primary imagery we see behind Morgan is fire. And I wanted to know, did Dave Filoni show you any kind of concept art with fire? And what do you think this says about her character, that fire?
Ooh, yeah. I noticed that too. And no, I don't, trying to think. No, I don't think I did see any concept art. I saw some earlier concepts of how Morgan would look like, and I go, oh wow, they had they did a great job of really capturing, my character. But the fire I love on a symbolic level, to really symbolize her rage and her path of vengeance, and really the kind of pain she would went through. And that fire is something that's echoed throughout, from starting from Dathomir to all the way to, the moments, because it's concurrent with right before what happens on in Mandalorian. And I just thought brilliant, just brilliant to the whole animation team. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, George. Back to you.
We know that you can't speak too much about it. So we're not trying to get any spoilers here, but we were just wondering, do you think this is
Trouble here, huh?
do you think that this is the last time that we've seen your character, or
In
what
live
do you
action
think
or in animation or both?
in both?
Do I think? I don't know. But I hope to those Star Wars gods it's not. I hope that that we get to explore her some more. I mean, I still have questions, I have questions if, how did she get her Beskar spear? That wasn't explained. I have questions like, did she do simple things like ride Rancors and Dathomir? Did she know Darth Maul? Did she, see Asajj Ventress and go, wow, I want to grow up and be like her? I mean, I got all kinds of questions, but yeah, I hope it's not. I hope that there's more of Morgan Elsbeth to come, but who knows, We'll see what the threads of fate decide.
All right, thank you, James. Back to you.
I just wanted to take you back to Ahsoka because one of the most gratifying things for all of us fans was seeing the camaraderie between all of the cast and the crew after the show came out, because obviously we had the writer strikes and we had COVID and we had all those things. So we all wanted more, but we weren't getting it. And the minute the show had aired and the writer strike and the actor strike had finished, we got these amazing images of all of you from behind the scenes, and it was so gratifying to see. And I just wanted you to talk about the camaraderie with all of your other Ahsoka castmates.
Oh, I love this question. I use this term because my grandmother is from Hawaii. She's Filipino Hawaiian, and there's that saying called ohana, meaning family, but it also means you can include people that are not necessarily related to you by blood, but they are like family. And I always use the term Star Wars ohana. When I see Ivana, our texter, I'm like, oh, hey, ohana. I loved being with Ray when he was alive. I mean, we, formed kind of a very tight family unit, and not just cast members, with our crew members too. And I feel so privileged and so lucky to be part of that experience because, I've heard and I've seen of some sets where it could be kind of dysfunctional or toxic, but I tell you, for me, the Lucasfilm family is incredible. To me, they are Ohana, and we all support each other. We love each other. We're rooting for each other, and I'm just thrilled that I get to be a part of this experience and journey with everyone. And so I love that question so much because, I especially think about Ray. I think about Shauna Tropic, who we loved, who was our beautiful wardrobe designer. And I know on Mandalorian we have Carl Weathers that we lost, but so when we lose these people, it really feels deeply. And but it's still I don't know, I look to the stars and I'll think of them, and it's a great experience. And I'm not just saying that to say that. It really is a beautiful experience. And I hope that all people can just experience just a little what I have felt. And the fans too. The fans have been incredible. And I think they know how much I love Star Wars. I always have since I was a little girl.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Alex, you've got last.
I don't want to follow that great question. But
Yeah.
but I will. I'll try. I love so much that you brought up the Star Wars books, and I love that you read some of them to prepare to play Morgan. I've been thinking about that short story Bug since it came out, so I'm curious, what did you find most helpful or fun to learn about while you read those stories?
It helped me because I wasn't quite sure the background. So for me, it helped fill in the dots where I felt it could help contribute to making my character more realistic and believable. I mean, I love how Timothy Zahn writes Thrawn and all the characters within his circle. So I certainly felt Thrawn would also seek the same kind of relationship with Morgan, that she was brilliant, she was ahead of her times, and strong and that he could counter, and her loyalty. That's the other thing too. Boy, is she loyal to Thrawn. But I love Ian Convery's book because, you really see that you get a sense of the commitment these women have to each other as a clan and as a family. And I was so happy that I had at my disposal these books. I will also say, and I have to give kudos also to Star Wars Fallen Order. I was watching the video clips on YouTube between Cal Kestis and Mirren. I thought that was very important. So I go, oh, Mirren, she's close to a Jedi. Well, then there's a complexity to the Night Sister, and maybe in general, where they could be more, dark, or maybe they could be more light. This is fascinating to me. And then of course, I was very lucky that I'm a mom, and I grew up with my kids. I feel like I grew up watching Clone Wars and Rebels, and again, seeing the animation to those shows and understanding the Night Sister, fellowship was very important and what they mean to each other. So there it is. Hey, may the force be with you all.
Visit fanthatracks.com or be sure to comment, like and share on our social media feeds at Fantha Tracks. Send in your listeners' questions by emailing radio@fanthatracks.com. Subscribe, leave a review, preferably a 5-star one, on Amazon Music, Audible, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your podcatcher or smart speaker of choice. And as always, thanks to James Temple for composing the Fantha Tracks intro, Adam O'Brien for our Making Tracks opening music, and Mark Daniel and Vanessa Marshall for our voiceovers. Tune in to Good Morning Tatooine. It's live Sunday evenings, 9 o'clock UK, 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific on Facebook, YouTube and Twitch. And check out our Fantha Tracks Radio Friday night rotation every Friday at 7 o'clock UK time for new episodes of The Phantom from Down Under, Planet Leia, Desert Planet Discs, Start Your Engines, Collecting Tracks, Cannon Fodder, and special episodes of Making Tracks, and every Tuesday at 7 o'clock UK time for your weekly episode of Making Tracks. And remember, fanthatracks.com, our social media feeds, Fantha Tracks TV and Fantha Tracks Radio are absolutely so no Patreon, Buy Me a Coffee, Kickstarter or Indiegogo required to stay updated on all the latest Star Wars news.
Coming up next on Fantha Tracks Radio, it's another episode of Making Tracks.